Good morning, Zebra Nation. This is Jim Downtrip, Director of North American Sales, welcoming each and every one of you to today's Ask the Scientist call. We've got a fantastic call lined up before we start the holiday season, and Dr. Plant has got some wonderful information that he's going to share with us today. For those that are dialing in for the first time, this is a call that we do each and every week on Thursdays, 10:30 Mountain Standard Time. And this call is really designed to just take 15-20 minutes once a week and have Dr. Plant address the most frequently asked questions that come into corporate. So we sift through those emails and look at what we're seeing the common problems are, confusion in the field, or if people just have questions and need some specific knowledge. So we go through those emails and decide what we're going to address. Like I said, this is a call that's done each and every week, 10:30 Mountain Standard Time. So encourage your people on your team, your customers, and those that you're prospecting to get on the call so they can, it's a very informal call. You're going to see if this is your first time that it's more of a conversation between me and Dr. Plant. And we really just keep it informal and simple and quick. So if you got a 9-to-5 job, you can just take a 15-minute break and dial in and listen to what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome Dr. Plant to the call. John, are you there? I am, John. Great to be here. Hello, Zebra Nation. I hope everyone's having a great Wednesday. Awesome. What's the day? It's the holiday season already. So thank you, Josh, for joining us this morning. Before we get started, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about Josh. He's been with Siege International now for about 20 months, almost 2 years here. And he's been a fantastic asset to the company as he's come in with his credentials and knowledge and worked side by side, hand in hand with Russ Bianchi, our formulator, and really polishing our existing product line and then really creating the vision of what is going to come down the pipe as Zebra begins to grow, making sure that we are offering the best products. Dr. Plant graduated from Harvard Medical School with a PhD in biomedical science, and this is my favorite part. He did a 9-year program in just 3 years, married and with 2 kids, and so really I think his wife is the one that deserves the PhD, not Josh. But what a phenomenal success he's had, and what a great person we have a part of our team. So Josh, before we get started this morning, really the question that I'm going to address today with you is the concept of anti-nutrient and how that affects people in their daily diets, and what we can do to educate people on really what the term anti-nutrients are.
Yeah, Sharon, this is a great question. And often in the layman's terms, the anti-nutrient is often correlated with that of bioavailability. This is something we hear more frequently in the field, which is not necessarily the amount that is put into our mouth, but ultimately the amount of nutrients that is absorbed into our cells. And so we hear this as bioavailability. And one of the key factors that determine the bioavailability of certain components are called anti-nutrients. And as you can kind of stem from the name, the name anti-nutrients is not necessarily a pro-nutrient thing. And so I want to speak a little bit about anti-nutrients, how they impede the absorption of nutrients into our cells, and specifically the parameters, the intense science, the intense knowledge that has been applied, the chemicals that have been used by Siege International to make sure that we are as far away from these anti-nutrients as possible to continue to yield the highest nutrient possible product. And so first I want to, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but I really want to share the story again, to reiterate the power of nutrients and the potential nutrients have in our lives. And this is the basis of Siege International. I shared the story of the disease pellagra that stricken over 6 million people over the course of 30 years just in America. Right? We're looking at approximately the years of 1919 to about 1911 to about 1940, where this disease ravished much of the America. 6 million people, over 100,000 people died from this. They experienced memory loss, dementia, psychotic episodes. It was a horrible disease that nobody really knew what was going on. They thought it was a parasite. They thought it was infections. But no, what came down it was the simple lack of nutrients in diet. And what we think is it's so crazy is that we live in this first world country. We live in America or North America, Canada, to where our diets are complete, they're full, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And this is what shook America so hard, is that it went on for 30 years, and it was a simple lack, a simple nutrient, because of the over-processing and the over-manufacturing and the introduction of anti-nutrients into the diet, to where all of a sudden our cells were literally starving for nutrients, and it manifested itself horribly. It's a terrible thing, and as I mentioned before, we are living with modern-day plagues left and right. We don't know what causes these ailments a lot of times, but we see the ramifications of them. And I feel confident in the future as science continues to discover the sources of these. It links back to the diets, the nutrition that our body needs, and the lack that we are getting in the lifestyle we're living. And so looking at this, I really want to emphasize the Vegas products on how important and how much we emphasize of putting in the most beneficial products possible. And this is something that Ken and Rod have stressed over and over with me, is the quality, the integrity of our products are never compromised. And we are continually making sure that we are sourcing all of our things from tree to mouth. We are involved in each step, overseeing these things to make sure that we are delivering products that deliver the nutrients people are starving for. And so back to that root question, anti-nutrients. Why are these so critical that we are able to understand what they are? And it stems, it's actually a deep thing, and so I hope everyone's got about 30 extra minutes today, because you opened up a can of worms, Jim. But what I want to talk a little bit about is some of these things, right? What we see are synthetics that are introduced into our products. These synthetics a lot of times will increase the shelf life of a product, amplify taste, whatever it may be, these synthetics. However, what a lot of these synthetics do is what they call our chelators. And what a chelator is it will actually bind to minerals, and it will prevent those minerals from interacting with other components, even our cell receptors that allow for its absorption. And so these chelators are literally vacuuming up these minerals and preventing the absorption into our cells. So even though we're increasing the shelf life of our product, we are greatly damaging the nutritional value of that product. And yet, hey, it still says the amount of that particular mineral, for example, iron, that is on the box, it's still there. The sad thing is that mineral, even though it's in the product, is so limited in its potential in our body because it's going to be chelated by those synthetics that are introduced. And it just doesn't stop at the synthetics that are introduced into products. Where we also see it is even from the grazing of cows, right? So, for example, we use whey protein. We go through and we have looked at the processes that are used in the assembly of our whey protein to make sure there's no adulteration of that protein in our Prime 90 shakes. Other people, on the other hand, are using cows that are largely fed corn. Now, corn is not necessarily a bad thing, but what corn is doing is it's changing the fatty acid composition of the meat. We may not look at this as a big thing, but what it does is it's increasing the omega-6 fatty acids to the point of where the ratio of that to the omega-3s is out of whack, and it in of itself becomes unnatural. Cows do not tend to eat a large corn diet, and so they are becoming, even though it may be considered natural, the cows themselves have become unnatural because of the diet they've been forced to eat. And this manifests itself into the meat, where now the abundance of these omega-6, or the ratio of the omega-6 to the omega-3, just the simple ratio. These nutrients are common and our body needs them, but the ratio is important, and when that ratio gets out of whack, what we see is a spike of key components in the cell that prevents the absorption of other nutrients, and this later manifests itself through inflammation throughout the body. And so what we're seeing is, throughout our food chain, the introduction of synthetics, the unnatural feeding of cattle, to the types of fertilizers that are being used, all of these things, these unnatural components throughout our food chain, adulterate our food chain to the point of where we are not only limiting the nutrients that are there, we are limiting the nutrient absorption of those few nutrients that we make, creating a skeleton of a food chain of what it once was. These anti-nutrients are extremely common. We see them all over the place, and I wish I could go on and on about the list of these, and it's extremely overwhelming and depressing about these. Another example of anti-nutrients is the acidity. I want to let you know how much actually goes into contemplating and making the proper acidity or pH balance of each product, right? What a pH is, it's a measure of a proton, a hydrogen ion, flowing in solution. And we may not think that that's too much, right? A Coke is a pH of 3.1 or a 2.8, and water is 7, and milk is an 8.2. And we may not think that there's much difference in that. But those protons, those hydrogen ions, will actually bind to nutrients. And what it will do is it will create a polarized molecule on its Twitter ion, causing it to then no longer be able to associate with its Q receptors and prevent its absorption. We are eating more calcium today, as per books, as per the government RDA, than we have ever before, based upon the milk consumption, our cheese consumption. But if you actually look at the amount that the average human is netting, that which is actually retained in the body, it's never been lower. So our absorption of calcium has never been less than what it is now, even though we're eating more calcium. And so we are extracting through the bathroom break, so to speak, that calcium. And it's largely because of the pH imbalance of the foods that we're eating, right? The human palate prefers an acidic environment. Likewise, certain foods last longer when they are in an acidic environment. And so at Age International, we do not compromise the integrity of our product, the nutritional value of our product for any of those things. We understand that the reason people buy Zege's products are for the nutritional power they possess. And we continue to make sure that they're always driving that. And so I want to let everyone know that my passion is delivering the best products we'll have. Be able to work with the rest of the executive team here and have a consistent and a uniform mind of driving the best products in the world. It's an honor to be representing Zege on that platform.
Awesome, Dr. Flint, thank you very much. Gosh, that was a lot of information. I hope you guys were taking notes there. I'm going to follow it up with this question. You're talking about the diets that people are having in the food and these anti-nutrients that are in the daily food that we all consume every day. Let's talk a little bit about moringa. We've traveled around a lot. We get a lot of testimonials that come in. Both you and I have met a lot of people, a lot of our distributors, a lot of our customers. And it appears that by simply delivering the nutrition that's in the moringa, some amazing things can happen. Can you, on a very elementary level, explain to us what's happening to the body as we're putting these nutrients into it?
Yes, I'd be happy to, right? So if I understand your question correctly, what you're asking is, as the body consumes moringa, what is it doing? Right?
Yes.
How does the body respond? And again, this is complex, right? It's multifaceted. Where we're seeing this on the body responds to this through several different pathways. So, for example, right, we can often see one tube in a capsule at Walmart. What's different here? Why is Zege doing it different on this? And the first thing is when the body responds to proper nutrients, it needs to respond to it in food. This is something that I talked about last week, right? What's different between us and the synthetic vitamins? And this has been echoed now through. It was actually kind of interesting. Breaking news 2 days ago, synthetic vitamins aren't doing anything, right? And this last call was talking about this, how in many cases synthetic vitamins not only don't do anything, they actually impede our health, where I talked about how that study that was done looking at vitamin A with respect to lung cancer, when people took their vitamin A improper with food, they saw a dramatic spike or decrease in the abundance of lung cancer. And so they did this study where they looked at then, hey, let's give people vitamin A supplements with the synthetic vitamin, and we'll see a decrease in lung cancer. And what they saw was an actual spike increase to where they had to stop the study based upon ethical reasons. The body responded completely different to that nutrient being found in a synthetic multivitamin versus found in food. And so with moringa, being a natural source of these nutrients, the body responds to a different pathway. And what that pathway is as your body consumes food, it will start with the gastric juices. I think gastric juices are designed in such a way, even with the saliva, even as it touches the mouth, your saliva is actually going to be breaking down certain polysaccharides, the cell walls of these of the cells, exposing the nutrients to the gastric juices. Those gastric juices will then break them down to another step, even more, allowing them to be broken down to intermediate components. These intermediate components are then recognized by the cell and absorbed as it goes through the duodenum, small and large intestine, etc. And so what is the problem is when people use synthetic vitamins, moving so many of these steps that the body does to prepare the nutrients, because the body will meant to get its nutrients through food. And so when you start to get it through synthetic vitamins, the body does not have that saliva breakdown, the gastric juices, the other nutrients, the cofactor nutrients that I talked about last week associated with that, with those nutrients that will allow your body to recognize it as a nutrient, adjust it accordingly, prepare it to be absorbed by the cells as it goes through the intestine. So what we're seeing here is people say, hey, vitamin A does this, let's just put it in a synthetic vitamin and give it to your body, but your body does not recognize it. It's not able to prepare that vitamin A to where not only is it not doing you any good, the bioavailability is limited, but what you're also seeing is that vitamin A, which is coming in, is not properly prepared by the body to where it not only doesn't do any good, it can potentially do harm. And so it's the moringa, since it is the most nutrient-dense botanical on Earth, it's got amazing potential. I often say it's nature's multivitamin, which makes it a power-packed botanical that contains amazing properties when it's properly manufactured, when it's properly utilized, when it's properly combined with other botanicals to deliver amazing potential and helping one overcome the nutritional deficiencies that they're facing.
Awesome, Dr. Klein. That was fantastic. All right, so we just got a few more minutes, and I've got one other question I want to ask you. I'm going to throw you a little curveball here. You know, we're very blessed and we're very fortunate to have someone of your credentials and stature with us. We appreciate your hard work, your passion, and I want the people that are listening today to hear what your passion was in your undergrad with searching for treatments for sicknesses through botanicals and natural foods. So could you explain to them a little bit about what your passion was and kind of some of the studies that you did that led you to finding Zija and what we've been doing with moringa?
Exactly. So this is, my passion is largely been inspired by the potential of natural products and to help alleviate modern problems. And this stems from the knowledge that the most commonly used, most effective drug, chemotherapy drug, Taxol, was initially isolated or identified in the bark of the yew tree. And to me, this resonated extremely strong, realizing that the greatest potential in overcoming health is in the world around us. It's not necessarily found on a benchtop and combining, element A, B, and C, but it's identifying it in its natural environment. And so my work stems in this identifying and characterizing natural components and the effects they have at the cellular level and at the system-wide level. It's what took me to the National Institutes of Health, chemistry degrees, et cetera. And during the course of my studies, you mentioned before that at Harvard I was doing a study, afterwards I was doing a fellowship studying obesity, what botanicals can help alleviate that, understanding that obesity is what I believe, or struggling with weight problems, is a crazy epidemic that we're facing today. So during the fellowship I was researching it, and this is where I understood the power of moringa. Understanding that by delivering the body the nutrients it needs, one is able to eat better. From that, one is able to more effectively lose weight, and it all stems from that thing of getting the nutrients the body needs, and there's no question, it's unquestionable the nutritional value of moringa oleifera. And so looking at this, right, moringa, it's around. What differentiates Zija, and this is why I thought of Zija first. the potential of moringa and making sure it's manufactured, combined properly, utilizing the complete nutritional potential of the tree to different parts of the tree. Each understood this, they embraced it, and they flourished it. This is one of those things that really drove me. With the vision of Ken Brailsford, Rod Larson, rest of the executive team, to realize that the greatest miracle of moringa may not necessarily be its nutritional value, but the business model that it's associated with. The greatest correlated factor to overweightness is poverty. It's nearly a 1-to-1 ratio. And by implementing Moringa oleifera into this business model, one is able to have a multifaceted approach to help them overcome not only the nutritional problems that prevent them from living the lifestyle that they're wanting, but also allowing them to have the financial lifestyle as well, which is so tightly correlated to with the health lifestyle one lives, to where this seems like the perfect marriage of combining a botanical with a business model that allows people to not only be healthy, but to get out of the poverty state, so to speak, which is so tightly correlated with one's health as well. Delivering that multifaceted approach of helping one to get the best out of life.
Awesome, Dr. Prendergast. I appreciate that. And folks, I wanted him to answer that simply because I wanted you to see that, one, we're fortunate to have someone like Dr. Plant with us. But when you have someone that's got that type of knowledge, but specifically passionate about botanicals, which is what our competitive advantage is in the marketplace, is what we're able to do with Moringa oleifera. And the guy that is creating and doing the research to further our product line is passionate about that very botanical. It just excites me and continually gives me energy on where we're going as a company and the vision of where we're going to go. And the product line that's going to come forth. So thank you, Josh. We appreciate everything that you do. And folks, that's it for today. Just a few announcements here. Due to the holiday season, we will not be having the call next week on December 26th. So the next call will be January 2nd. We'll kick off the year with a bang. We'll have Dr. Plant on here, maybe some special guests to really get things cranking beginning in January. And on behalf of Zija and the corporate staff here, we wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Go spend time with your family. Get ready for 2014 because we've got some exciting things happening. Zija Nation, the lines are now open.
Thank you. Thanks, Chairman Dr. Plant. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Dr. Plant. Thanks, Dr. Josh. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Dr. Wagner. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Dr. Plant.
A wonderful day with a wonderful call. Merry Christmas to all. Howdy home.